Hey guys, welcome to another short episode of the Big Picture Blueprint. Today, Mason and I are talking a bit about how to make low offers that actually get accepted. And this was top of mind for me this morning because I was looking at large tracts of land for sale in the Southeast that have been for sale for 200 days plus, and how to navigate that discussion, whether it's in that scenario with the agent representing the sellers, or if you're direct to seller and they want X and you can offer 60% of X. How do you do that without just creating animosity between you and the seller, killing the deal, and getting nothing out of it? And that's what we're going to talk through today.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun conversation because you and I might have very different approaches on how this works. And I'm looking forward to learning from you because you're doing a ton of deals in the Southeast specifically right now where you're having a lot of success. And we're doing a lot in the Mountain West where, it just comes down to our individual approaches and how we can make it work. So I think starting off with one main point is you have to know what you're doing and how much you're willing to pay, and it doesn't matter how much they want at the end of the day. Because if you start trying to justify the price in your mind because you're making an on-market offer or the seller wants way more than you think it is, and then it starts changing your formula, you're going to burn yourself because you really make your money when you buy. So you have to know your product first and foremost.
Yeah, that's great advice. If you don't know what you're doing, this whole conversation is kind of null. You need to learn first. Now, I think we should probably break this up into on market and off market deals because, for example, a few of the examples I want to talk through from recent negotiations where I got the deal were on market. And so if something's been sitting on the market for months and months, there's already a clear understanding most of the time that, hey, we're overpriced, right? And that makes it a little bit easier. Starting there was a lot in Pueblo West, and these are pretty small numbers, but it had been sitting on the market for, I don't know, 90 or 100 days. It was listed at 28. And I think I wanted to offer 15 or 16. And so I called the agent. And I think the first big takeaway I'd say is I always approach the first conversation of, I'm interested. There's a little more due diligence I need to do before solidifying an offer, and I want to make an offer I can stick to. And so getting that out right away, usually, or the goal is that they know that I can't give them a number, and then usually I can get something out of them. And so in that case, I started with that, and I said, look, I forget her name, Miss. I'm interested. We're finishing up a couple builds down the street. Tap fees have gone up. Building's getting expensive. We're gonna be much lower than ask. Should I even call you back? And that line has worked really well on or off market. Ended up offering, I think 16. We agreed at 18. I'm closing on that this week. It was listed at 28. So it's one example.
Yeah, and I think that when you're approaching these conversations, I feel like where people get really afraid is being transparent. And we tell people, and especially now that I'm a broker in Colorado, and I disclose that, and I'm very honest with it. But going back to all of the investment deals we had done in Colorado before, and the investment deals we do in other states, we have in the purchase agreement, Dan and I have pretty much the same purchase and sale agreement. We are purchasing this with the intent to resell it immediately in the contract. And that really is how we do business. And a deal that we're getting, that we're closing, it's going to be mid-September instead of early September, just because it's in so many different counties. It's a 17-lot portfolio that these investors have kind of acquired over the years, severed the mineral rights because that's what they really want. And they're selling it off. And they contacted me to list their properties. And I told them, yep, I'll do an analysis of what the market price is of your land. It's going to be somewhere in between 700,000 and 800,000, depending on how quickly you want to sell it. But I'm an investor too. I'll be offering a lot less than what I think it's worth. But if you guys just want to get it off your hands, I would love to make a deal with you. And I offered them 218,000. They came back with 328. And this is after I told them their property is worth about 800,000. And so you're never going to actually, and you have to, a few things. You have to figure out what your seller's motivations are. Is it convenience or is it price? And if it's price, they're probably going to want market value. If it's convenience, then you're able to get the deal done. But you're never going to know if you don't try and figure that out and make the offer. Of just making the offer is so crucial, because a lot of people would buy that land that you're buying for 18 grand for 18 grand, but they never offered on it because it was listed for 25 or 30,000 or whatever it was listed for. And people just can't get that in their head that just make the offer.
Yeah. A couple more tactical things I want to say from that specific example. That's one I'm building a duplex on. They came back and I found this consistently. There was another one I bought in Pueblo West earlier this year where I think it was listed at like upper 20s and we offered 15. And people, we're all emotional, right? And if you're too aggressive or harsh with the seller, it never works. And so in both cases, that lot or the one I just am buying this week, I came up a little bit. And I didn't really want to, but I didn't want to lose the deals over $1,000. So in both cases, I think I came up either 500 or 1,000 for my offer. And I said, look, I really want to get this deal done. Things are tight. I just got my bid back from my contractor. Prices have gone up. But as a show of good faith, I can come with $1,000. And that helps to kind of calm their ego a little bit, like they're getting something, because so often, someone will just, dig their feet in and say, F you, if you're not going to come up at all, I'm not selling it, even if they might want to.
Yeah, people want to feel like they're winning. And this goes back into really understanding your numbers. And this is very different if you were trying to flip a lot and there's a total profit spread of like $8,000 or $9,000 on the deal. $1,000 is, 10 to 15% of that entire deal, is versus doing a new construction where if your make or break number on a new construction for a small multifamily home is $1,000, dude, the margins are too thin. Like you have to get the land for free. And I think once again, knowing your product and understanding exactly what you're going to do with this is going to be so much more powerful for you, because it gives you that confidence of you have a number and you're going to try and get to that number. And you can use all the tactics and never split the difference and all these different sales books to anchor them lower of, the maximum amount you can pay is 20,000. So you offer 12. And a lot of times it's this funny thing that we seek fairness in every interaction that we have. The amount of times that we've just met in the middle of whatever their offer price was and our listing price, it's insane. Of people will offer $150 for a $200,000 piece of land. My basis is low, and we just say, hey, how about we split the difference? That seems fair. And people really love that whenever you can make a deal feel fair.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's a good point, because a lot of this is just navigating human emotion. To that end, I wanted to hit on low offers when you're talking directly to the seller. And Mason's example was an investment company that owns a lot of land, a lot of property, was interested in the mineral rights, and the land itself is an afterthought. So that's a very unemotional seller. And what he did works really well. Making a low offer works much better in a straightforward manner. Whereas, what do you do when you're dealing with someone that inherited it from their parents, and maybe they don't use it, but it makes them think of their parents, or they bought it a long time ago? That's where you have to be really gentle. And I like some form of a takeaway where, I started the conversation. Let's pretend Mason's the seller. I told him, hey, I can't officially make an offer until we drive this in person or whatever. And, they threw out a number and it's just way too high. Well, I already mentioned the should I even call you back if it's lower, and that's a great line. But if it's way out there and you think maybe they're just posturing a little bit and they're not very good at negotiating and just starting really high, I like saying something along the lines of, Mason, I'll be honest, we bought, X lot and Y lot at Z. We're going to be nowhere near that. Or maybe I didn't buy lots there, because I'm not lying. I only say that sort of thing if it's true. I'll say something along the lines of, Mason, I've got a great realtor I can send to you. Maybe you can get that on market. We're not going to be anywhere near that. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to offend you. I can just send you to our realtor. And then how they respond to that tells you whether it's worth making the offer, or if it's just a referral for your realtor that maybe they can make a few bucks on.
And most people aren't going to be your seller.
Yeah.
That's the nature of this business. Most people don't want to sell their land at an extreme discount compared to market value. And Dan's absolutely right. You figure out their motivations, and if their expectations are just in line with a reality different than yours, that's totally fine. Like, that's how most deals will go. The funny thing is, now being on the realtor side of things, I have to do that with people that want to list their property that's worth $100,000 for $400,000.
Yeah.
And you have to start working with these people and become like a little bit of a therapist to rationalize with them of like, look, I know you want $400,000 for your property, and I like to offer solutions of, okay, you've got 100 acres out here. In order for us to get it to that price, we're going to have to do an exempt subdivision and get 2 35-acre lots. And then we're going to have to do a full minor subdivision process on these. It's going to cost about $60,000 and take about a year or so. We might have to put some roads in here, do electric extension. We can drill some wells here. then we'll be able to do it. But you're going to be spending a good amount of money to get there. Otherwise, your land is worth this as is. And then if we, split it like this, which is going to cost you $5,000, you could get this much. And being able to give them kind of a menu, it shows, one, your expertise in the area, and two, it shows you're willing to work with them in some capacity. But you can't just acquiesce to them being like, yep, I want $400,000, list it for me for $400,000, or you won't get the listing. Because with all of these conversations we're having, whether it's a realtor listing or you buying it as an opportunity to build on it yourself, or as an investment or a flip or a wholesale deal or whatever, as soon as you need them, you're going to fail, because it's going to come across, it's going to leak out in your voice as desperation, and they're never going to actually accept it. Because you have to be confident. Like, even though you don't view it as insulting, you have to be able to make that really low ball offer if you're going to create a business that you make your money when you buy, which is what the premise of so much of real estate investing actually is.
Yeah, I think Mason really hit the nail on the head there. The last thing I'll say, just going back to my example of the $18,000 lot, is everything I was telling them was true. I did just get my bid from my contractor back. It did go up. The tap fees for water and sewer absolutely went up. The tap fees for electric absolutely went up. So don't lie. Use real justifications when you're doing this, and you'll sound a lot more confident when you're speaking.
100%. We try to be transparent and honest. We don't try to. We are transparent and honest as investors. We tell people what their property is worth. We tell them how they can get it, whether it's with us or with someone else. And some people, it doesn't matter to them. And I know that's hard for a lot of people that are getting started or aren't in the business to understand, that people will sell you their land or their house or whatever at a discount if they like you, or if they just need to get it done, or anything like that. So I think that's one of the main takeaways that I want you guys to have, is be honest and transparent. It's going to get you a lot more deals than trying to be shady.
Absolutely. There's one we're doing. We just should get the contract this week. The guy says, hey, I want 45,000 and I want to hunt with my son on this in September and not close till October. If you give me that, you can have it. And my acquisition man, it makes sense. Long answer short. And my acquisition manager told him, yeah, we're going to flip this. Do you care if we start marketing it ahead of time? He goes, oh, no, that's fine. As long as I can hunt with my son and I get 45,000 net, I don't care what you do. Perfect example.
There you go. Yeah. So stop making assumptions about what people want. Find out what they want, and then see if you can serve them. You're going to be so much better off.